Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Picture Perfect. I am your host, Bobby Gross, and you won't believe it, but we have a big show this week. I have my buddy Justin the Juiced Oliver on the show this week from What the Show, from the movie Trivia Schmodown. What is up, Justin? How you doing?
Doing well. Doing very well. Yeah. Watched Suicide Squad last night and ready to talk about it. Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with that movie, and for mostly good, I would say. I mean, we'll save it for the review.
We'll see.
But how's everything going with you, man? I mean, I know you're a streamer. You're doing all the streams. You got the Schmodown going on. So how's everything been going with that?
Doing well. Yeah. Everything's good. Yeah. Life is busy, so I'm trying to knock out as much stuff as I can. But yeah, I'm working on what might be a little video for the Schmodown. I don't know if it will be something that Christian would air before a match, but regardless, it'll be something I post in the Facebook group that I think is pretty funny that involves a little keytar and a little person named Bobby Gucci. So
now you mentioned it. I got to bring it up for people that are unaware, might not be watching the Schmodown or even knows what a keytar is. I mean, this thing is unbelievable. You play the hell out of it. Where did you get the keytar from? Like, there it is. It's right in the background there. It's an unbelievable instrument. How did you start on that, dude?
Yeah, no. So yeah, it's actually a funny story. So I went on a retreat for like a church, and I was supposed to be part of the music, but they had like every instrument covered. So I really just sat around and did nothing. And I was like, why am I here? I was like, and I got home from that retreat and I was like, that was awful. Like, I feel like I just wasted a weekend because I didn't contribute anything to the band. It's like, I'm going to buy the most obscure instrument that nobody else plays. And no one will be like, oh, sorry, we already have a keytar player.
I mean, very rarely will you come across that issue.
Right. So yeah, so I bought that little red one there, and then I made a couple videos, and then moved on to the nicer one, and then I actually have a new one, brand new, that's really not debuted at all. I did play it on What the Show last week, but it's something else.
Now, what is there a special like go-to song that you go with the guitar? Like, is there like one song that, you know, if you rock it on the guitar, you know, it just blows the roof off the place?
Yeah, Take on Me has been my go-to because I've got it down comfortably. You can kind of play it without the background music a little bit, and everyone knows what you're playing. It's very recognizable. So if somebody's just like, play something on guitar, I'll just play Take on Me.
That is incredible, dude. Like, I feel like it's the way you play it. I mean, it's got to be the most underrated instrument of all time. I mean, I've never heard of this thing. You open my eyes to the keytar, and you know what? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll acquire a keytar of my own. We'll have a duel of the keytars and see what goes on. But Justin, we always start off the show mentioning anything that we've been watching lately, movies, television, anything good or bad, anything you've been watching besides the Suicide Squad, obviously, that you would you've been digging or not really into.
Yeah. So when I originally joined, or when my buddy Jacob Whitnaben joined kind of the Schmodown doing the Inner Geekdom, I added all of the Inner Geekdom movies I hadn't seen to my watch list. And I'm a big Letterboxd person. I always log my movies on Letterboxd.
This is a Letterboxd podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
absolutely,
love it. So so last night I finished watching last night I watched Steel.
That's the Shaquille O'Neal movie, right?
O'Neal.
Tell me about that. I have never seen it before, but it's one of those 90s movies, right?
Yeah, it was very obscure, very 90s. And I had my parents bought me and my brother like all the Steel toys because they were like, you know, because nobody bought them, so they were like $1, and they're like, they're young enough, they don't like actually know what they want. We'll just spend $5 and have the whole set. So like I was it was cool, like recognizing like, oh, okay, that's what that is, and that's what that, like the big hammer that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It wasn't like, it wasn't anything too like, it wasn't like brutal to watch, but it was just,
You have to take it with like a grain of
yeah.
salt. I mean, the cheese rate is probably off the charts, and also
Oh yeah.
Shaq had this moment in the '90s with these movies. I mean, he had that. He had Kazam. He had a little cameo in Good Burger. Have you seen Good Burger?
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
for a long time.
oh my God! If you're a kid of the '90s, everybody's had
Yeah.
seen Good Burger,
Oh, yeah.
but never saw the movie. Now, is it like what is it based on? Is it based on a comic, a graphic novel?
I think it's a comic. It could be a graphic novel though. I get them confused, but yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah,
Out of everybody who like all the actors that they could have had, it's Shaquille O'Neal.
Right.
Like who comes up with this
Just
stuff?
massive.
But although this is
right.
the same thing, like Space Jam, it's Michael Jordan. So maybe it was just a '90s thing with all these basketball players getting into the. But I remember seeing Kazam as a kid, and that was an experience. But still, is it a kids movie? Is it like PG-13? What is it exactly?
Yeah, it was. Right, I think it was like kind of a '90s PG. So it was like a little edgier, obviously, than what PG is today. But yeah, nothing like grotesque. But yeah, kind of what you'd think for a '90s PG.
Now, getting into all these, geeky movies, the inner geekdom movies. What's one movie that you've seen that you didn't see before? Getting into the whole catalog that kind of like blew you away. Is there one that stands out to you?
Great question.
Because I know a lot of times, like it's really the older stuff that we miss, right? Like, I mean, it's hard for anybody to miss like a Lord of the Rings or any of the Marvel movies. But I know a lot of the older stuff sometimes just like misses us. But is there anything that just like, wow, that's like a repeat movie now for you?
Yeah, as I'm looking, I did not mind The Shadow. Like, I thought The Shadow was all right.
Is that 80s or 90s there?
That's 94. Yeah, 94.
That was a good year I was born.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah. That was good. Yeah, I don't think there's been anything crazy as I'm going back through my diary.
There's just so much though. I mean, I don't know the official count of all of the movies that qualify for inner geekdom, but now they expanded to Planet of the Apes, and the swashbuckling adventure stuff, things that you wouldn't typically think of as inner geekdom, but it when you really do think about it, kind of makes sense. But I don't, man, like I don't know how those guys do it. It's just it's incredible.
It's great. Yeah,
with the new categories and everything like that. But what's your take on these? I mean, did you see Jungle Cruise last week?
I did not see Jungle Cruise yet. No,
okay.
I've got to catch that.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see how deep the questions for that movie would be because it's a very surface level movie.
Yeah,
there's not much there. I don't know. I think Pirates I could probably do pretty well in. I don't know about anything else.
Yeah,
like my buddy Adam Collins, he has no problem with any of that stuff, but like. Right. He tried to get me to join up in the Schmodown years ago, and I was like, I don't have the attention for that. But is there anything else, Justin, that you've been watching? Any movies or television like that?
A lot. I've been catching up on some, a lot of bad movies.
I mean, that's just as memorable as a good movie, honestly. The right ones, at least.
Yeah, right. Lots of obscure ones. Like I watched Shizopolis. I think it's the first.
Oh my God, what is that?
The first Soderbergh, Steven Soderbergh movie.
Okay.
From '96, and he is the main actor.
Oh, interesting.
And
that might have been like was it a student film of his that he didn't have the budget, so he probably just starred in it?
Similar. Yeah, I think kind of similar. But yeah, just very like it's got a lot of great like dry humor and a lot of like I'd say like Guy Ritchie humor with where there's a lot of like just very subtle jokes that like lead from like one frame to the next.
Yeah.
But it's like it's the most obscure. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's got some like, it seemed like something Jim Carrey would star in, like a Truman Show type.
I like that.
That like feel, but it's not that. It's so weird. It's hard to
I have to put it on the
so hard
watch
to
list.
describe. Yeah.
Is it readily
interesting.
available? Because I know like some of the directors like first movies are really hard to find.
Yeah, HBO Max. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been going through. That's what I've been coming across. All these movies is just working through my HBO Max watch list.
Dude, HBO Max. Can we talk about them for a second? Like,
yeah,
screw Netflix. Like, screw Hulu. HBO Max is the service.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they have everything. Not only do they have the new releases on there, right? The stuff that they put in the theaters, but they have like Turner Classic Movies, so you get a lot of obscure, or not even obscure, but just kind of lost. Because a lot of these older movies, they never get put to DVD, they never get put to Blu-ray. So it's great, like finding some of these gems on HBO Max, and then all of their shows and everything like that. Like HBO Max, they're doing something right over there.
Oh yeah, and I watched. So this is more earlier, like in the summer, late, like April and May. I was watching. Yeah, I was working through a ton of like Best Picture winners that they just had on HBO Max, and from the 30s. And I saw like 3 James Stewart movies like in a row. Yeah,
that's my guy.
That just happened. Just happened to be, because I always watch from longest first. I go on Letterboxd, I sort HBO Max, longest first, and I just work my way down so I can just get all the long ones out of the way right away.
Got it. Nice.
But the one that actually stands out, I watched Yojimbo.
Oh, okay.
Kurosawa, yeah,
classic,
very good. Yeah.
Are you a Kurosawa guy, or was that like one of your first Kurosawa movies?
I've seen Rashomon, Seven Samurai, and Ikiru. So I think that was my 4th one. And then I watched Throne of Blood right after. So I've seen like 5. But I haven't seen any of them twice. So
a lot of, especially like Seven Samurai, that's a talk about a long movie. That's a long one. But I mean, like you said, man, like they have so much stuff. Like Kurosawa's on there, and then you can find like Soderbergh's first movie.
Yeah.
Like where else? Netflix doesn't have that.
No,
Hulu doesn't have it. A close second would probably be Amazon. Surprisingly, if you look at Amazon, I mean, their service is so terrible as far as interface. But scrolling through there, they have so many 70s and 80s movies that you would just never find anywhere else. Like I just like last month, I was on. Even before that, I was on like a poker movie kick, and they had this movie called The Gambler, and it's the original movie that Mark Wahlberg remade.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's just like, where would you ever find that besides Amazon? Like, just dumped on Amazon somewhere. But I really dig it. Any old movies, I'm going to HBO or Amazon first, because Netflix is just a waste of time at this point, right? Like, there's just their library is decimated.
Yeah, it's all
originals.
Weird originals and weird rom-coms and
Twilight now. They got the Twilight movies on there.
It's all very much garnered for a Netflix and chill, I think, more than an actual cinephiles watch list.
For sure. And really, like, I didn't really watch anything this past week. I rewatched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is amazing. I haven't seen that in full in years, and it's incredible. Like, what can you say? It's one of my favorite movies. It's just one of those, like, with that and Breakfast Club. I mean, John Hughes was on a roll in the 80s. Just put out these unbelievable, timeless comedies. So I watched that, but I've been watching more TV than anything. So, I mean, everybody's watching Ted Lasso right now. Are you on the Ted Lasso train?
No, I don't have Apple. My buddy has it, so I've saw one episode at my buddy's, but and it was good, But
I mean, what can you say about it? Like, everything that needs to be said about the show has been said. Like, it's just so much fun. It's light. It's fluffy. It's exactly what you want. And this season is no different. There's the 3rd episode just came out last week. I mean, it's just it's so nice. Like, It's one of those the shows that you could probably dump it all in one day, one weekend, but
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to come back to the show every
Yeah.
week for the new episodes. So I mean, Ted Lasso. I mean, listen, I'm trying to get more people on Apple Plus, man. I'm telling you, like they have a lot of good stuff. It's just they don't have the library. There's absolutely no library in there, so I totally get it. But it was funny. I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he wants to watch Ted Lasso, but he doesn't want to pay for it. And I'm like, well, did you get like a new Apple product? Because I guess they just don't advertise this, but when you get a new Apple product, you get Apple Plus for like 6 months to a year for free. So you can go through and watch all their shows. There's not that many movies, but they have a lot of good shows on there. I'm still waiting for Schmigadoon to wrap their season. The musical show. Have you heard about this?
No.
Cicely Tyson and Keegan Michael Key, and it looks unbelievably funny. It's like classic studio musical from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and they get stuck into this world, and it seems like they're the only ones who realize that they're in a musical. Everybody else plays it so straight. So I'm really looking forward to that wrapping up and then I'll just binge. That's not a problem. But also, I've been watching the show Dave. Are you familiar with Dave, Justin? The Lil Dicky show on FX.
No, I'm not.
So I really loved the first season. It's kind of like gross out at times. It's funny. It's kind of like the first season of Atlanta, which I dug, and then the later seasons, it was just like, okay, I get what you're doing here. It's getting a little bit too artsy fartsy for me. But the second season, I'm 3 episodes in, and I was super down on the show the first 2 episodes because it's just a different. Lil Dicky is just completely different in those first 2 episodes of the second season. He's just like a total dick, literally, I guess. But it was just like not the character we saw in the first season. And I was like, is this like a sophomore slump? Because sometimes you'll see this with comedies too. You get the popular first season, and I was kind of hoping this wasn't the case for Ted Lasso, and so far it isn't. They're hitting on all cylinders still. But sometimes you'll have a show that has a really popular first season and everybody loves it, and then the second season kind of comes and goes. And that might actually be happening with Dave, because I haven't heard anybody talk about this show for the second season, but everybody was talking about it for the first one. And then finally I watched the 3rd episode, and it seems like it's starting to get back on track. But it's a really funny show. Andrew Santino is in there.
Nice.
His buddy, Lil Dicky's buddy, Gata, who is not an actor. I think he's just like one of his posse. He is hilarious in the show. He's probably my favorite character. And he actually has this one like big episode in the first season that was phenomenal. But I feel like FX, they kind of got lost in this pandemic, right? Like, I haven't heard any buzz on any of their shows in a long time. I mean, is there any FX shows off the top of your head that you're watching or you've watched recently?
No, I mean, I'm very like picky with my TV shows, I guess, because I feel like I've got such a watch list of movies to get through. And I'm like, taking time for a TV show when I could be watching a movie is like, I guess it's hard for me. So I'm not just, let me just check out this new show. It's more like, you have to watch this. So I haven't really seen much of any FX shows. Yeah.
I think they're going to have a good fall season though, because the new American Crime Story revolving around the Bill Clinton scandal in the 90s is coming out with Beanie Feldstein, which I'm super excited about. And I believe this past weekend, they finally premiered Reservation Dogs, which is like a spin on Reservoir Dogs, but it's like a Taika Waititi show that has been getting great reviews. So I think they might be making a little comeback here. And I love their deal with Hulu, because every the night after or the day after it airs on cable, it's right on Hulu. So,
Yeah.
but they had some good shows a couple years ago with Miss America and all that stuff. But FX really, it's just nothing there. And I think just Dave is getting lost in the shuffle right now. But if you guys watched the first season and you haven't checked out the second, I would say, get through the first 2 episodes, but the third one, and I've only seen 3 so far. The third one seems like more of the Dave of season 1, which I dug. And I also finally finished Mythic Quest on Apple Plus, which we talked about last week with Amber and Max. But I mean, it's a phenomenal show. Again, another Apple TV Plus show that's under the radar. Listen, if it's a cheap service to pay for, it's like $5 or $6, something like that.
Oh.
And if you don't, I mean, definitely look into it if you can get the free trial, because pretty much, I mean, I'm still on the free trial. A lot of people I know are on the free trial, but they've got a lot of good originals. And I think if some of these were on a Netflix or an HBO Max, it would get a lot more buzz. But I really like what Apple Plus is doing. Now they just have to kind of just get a library somehow, which that might just be buying A24, which was the big rumor a few weeks ago. Because they're just all, I mean, listen, they can bleed money for the next 10 years and be fine. It's Apple.
Right.
But they definitely, if they want to take it seriously in the streaming game, they gotta get some kind of library or something like that. Because they also missed out on MGM, who went to Amazon last month or 2 months ago. So, but that's what we've been watching, guys. Anything that you guys have been watching, please let us know in the comments, tweet us, let us all know that good stuff. But the big review this week, the Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad. Now there is a "the" in the beginning, so you know that like this is the Suicide Squad to watch, and it makes sense because this is a much better Suicide Squad than the one we saw a few years back, Justin. But like we do, non-spoiler spoiler. So we're gonna start with the non-spoilers. Justin, what'd you think of the Suicide Squad?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it all came together very well, flowed well. The tone was always there. It was always consistent. And you kind of expect that from James Gunn, but it was cool to see him not have to hold to the PG-13 rating. You think like, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy R is kind of what it is, with a little more government control, you might say.
It's just, I mean, and it worked out for Warner Brothers, right? Because we had that big controversy a few years ago with James Gunn and Disney. Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know what your take was on it, but it was just like the dude made some bad jokes. He didn't do literally something, and it wasn't his actions.
He didn't do the things he tweeted about. He just was working out comedy.
And listen, Disney, I know that they have this reputation of really trying to get people involved in the company that doesn't have this kind of history. I mean, we saw that with a certain character or a certain actress in The Mandalorian that got kicked out.
Right.
But, I mean, it worked out for Warner Brothers because if you think about it, James Gunn, I mean, he launched Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, without him, that movie doesn't work. And then, what were your thoughts on Volume 2, though? Like, did you like Volume 2 or...
I didn't like it that much this first time I watched it. When I did my big Marvel rewatch before Endgame, I enjoyed it more for what it was. But I wasn't a big fan. Right, I felt like the first one just had so much more heart and leaned more. You could say they're action comedies, and the first one was like action comedy. But with all the heart, and then it just seemed like they were too much comedy, a little too much comedy thrown in for for my liking.
That was pretty much my thoughts on Volume 2. So maybe it was beneficial for both parties because you know what, Disney, I guess they had the pressure to kind of cut ties with him, but also James Gunn maybe he needed a little break from the Guardians. and do something a little bit different, because I mean, there's definitely elements of Guardians of the Galaxy in this movie. I mean, I love the weasel here that's on the YouTube the YouTube background here. I mean, that's like a really cocaine drug riddled Rocket Raccoon,
Oh yeah,
which was
right.
I love what they did with him in this movie. But you know, we have some familiar characters. We have Harley Quinn back in this movie. We have um, Boomerang back in this movie. We have some and Amanda Waller. You know, we have some connectivity between this one and the first one, but it seemed like Warner Brothers was really just trying to distance themselves as far away from the first one without completely blowing up the franchise.
Yeah, and I think it seems like they're trying to just do more in like, yeah, this is a shared universe, but it's also not a shared universe. Like it's just a movie, you know, like because there was one line, maybe I'll say it in the spoiler section, but there was one line said where I was like, that I feel like that doesn't fit with the DCEU, but it fits with the character. So that they were trying to get. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because it was, you know, feel like they're trying to go for more of, let's not have everything connected and let's just make some good movies. And I felt they definitely did that.
Absolutely. And I dig that about DC too, because, you know, when they first started doing all this stuff with the DCEU, they really tried to do their Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah.
Everything had to connect. Everything, you know, they rushed storylines. Yeah. They did everything wrong. And then I guess at a certain point, maybe even starting with Wonder Woman, they started slowly finding their footing here. And I'm totally fine. Like, you know, if you want everything to be in the same universe, there's Marvel, right? If you want just good comic book movies, and I'm not saying Marvel movies aren't good, but I'm just saying like they stand on their own. You don't have to watch this movie, that movie, and then this other movie to get what's going on. This is what DC does best. And, you know, we saw that primer's example was Joker, right? Joker, absolutely no connectivity into any of the big universe stuff within DC, but it's still, they just set out to make that one movie. And, you know, maybe now that there's going to be a sequel, but that's another story. But they set out for this one movie, tell this one story. It doesn't have to connect to, you know, the Ben Affleck Batman, or, you know, it doesn't have to connect to this upcoming Robert Pattinson Batman. So I dig what that strategy. And with this one, I'm not saying that I needed more connectivity, but it was weird, you know, seeing Harley Quinn in this movie after Birds of Prey and just kind of, you know, doing her own thing again. And where we left off with Birds of Prey, I was hoping maybe some kind of mention. But it's kind of just like, this is Harley Quinn. You saw her in Suicide Squad. You saw her in Birds of Prey. She's just going to enter the story and be Harley Quinn, which I was fine with.
Yeah. Yeah, because I forget I loved Birds of Prey.
Me too.
I forget exactly how it kind of all ends. But yeah, I mean, because they all just kind of walk off into the sunset, right? So,
and then, but she takes the kid at the end, right? Like she drives away with her. But I think, I mean, they kind of separate, but they leave the door open for a sequel, which I'm still hoping for. Like, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but I would love to see, even if it was just an HBO Max exclusive or something like that, a Birds of Prey 2, because I mean, I'm glad you liked it too, because it seemed like a lot of people were just kind of mixed on it.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's easily one of my favorite DCU movies, for sure. And and like maybe if this like took, because this didn't necessarily need like a time. So I mean, I guess you could say this took place before Birds of Prey. You could theoretically do that, but it was her character definitely. It definitely, you could tell they didn't write her based off of Birds of Prey. It was just.
Which, I mean,
another Harley Quinn.
You know, if we're gonna praise them for not connecting everything, then you know, we can't necessarily criticize them for that decision. But we also get a whole new batch of characters in here. Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, is in this, which I don't know. I'm usually pretty high on Idris Elba. I thought he was completely fine in this movie,
Yeah.
but one of the bright spots of the first Suicide Squad was Will Smith's Deadshot.
Yeah.
So, and it's very, very clear that they're trying to kind of squeeze Idris in as Will Smith in this movie. Were you fine with Bloodsport? Like, were you digging what he was doing in this movie, or were you kind of like wishing that it was Will Smith and his Deadshot character?
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely picked up what you're saying with just trying to make it just basically be Deadshot, but yeah, I think it definitely Deadshot probably would have improved it, but it's all pretty fine. You never get too deep into all the characters. None of them are incredibly fleshed out, so I think it was fine and worked for it, but
And then, but also you have him and John Cena going at it throughout this movie.
yeah, that was
and
good. Yeah,
I really dig John Cena in this universe. Yeah. I think he works really, really well. Coming off of Fast 9, right? Like, he's kind of just there. He doesn't have any personality, really. He's just playing it super straight. And I love John Cena when he's having fun. So, his role in Trainwreck from years back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was excellent in that movie. He was super funny. And he kind of plays it funny, but also serious in this movie.
Right.
And I loved what he was doing here. And he's got his HBO Max show coming out next year too. And we get some answers about how that would work in the movie. But so where are you at with Cena? Like, we have Cena, we have The Rock, we have Batista. Where is he, like, pro wrestlers going to actor wise? Like, where is he on that ranking for you?
Yeah, he's not touching The Rock yet, but no, yeah, I really enjoy. Well, what's funny is I almost want Batista to do more serious stuff and less comedy. And Cena obviously do more comedy and less serious stuff, because Batista was great in Blade Runner 2049, the one scene that he was in. He played that like perfectly. So yeah, for him to play more like kind of the grizzled old, like maybe like retired type guy coming back into action instead of Liam Neeson doing it in every movie, we could get a little Batista. But any more comedic roles for Cena's so charismatic to be able to pull off that type of stuff. I love it.
And it's interesting too to see, because obviously, I mean, if anybody watched the trailers or even knows anything regarding the cast, I mean, there's so many characters in this movie, and you see a lot of, the James Gunn regulars in here too. It was interesting to see who they chose to keep around, who they chose to kill off. I don't think that's a spoiler, because I mean, if you have that many people, some people are going to die. It was interesting to see who they kept around, though, specifically one character that we'll get into in spoilers. But I didn't say that. I wouldn't say I love this movie. I know, like, this is getting so much praise from everybody that I'm seeing online. It seems like this was an overall success, even though you look at the box office receipts, it doesn't look that way, unfortunately. I just had a good time with it. It has its problems. Like, you mentioned before that not every character gets super fleshed out, but it seemed like they did their best. And, maybe it was just the execution that I didn't like, but they kind of stopped the movie at times to really give certain characters backstory. And I appreciate that in certain circumstances, but the way that it's done, it kind of just stops the movie in its tracks. And even though I enjoyed what, they were trying to do there, I was kind of like, okay, let's get to, because typically I like the conversations more than the action. But in this case, I kind of like the action more than the conversations in this movie. Definitely. Because, I mean, everybody that sticks around, they pretty much get their own moment to tell, like, where they came from, what they did, and everything like that. Where are you on that? Like, did you enjoy all that? Because, I mean, it's not like they give, like, everything. It doesn't take 20 minutes to explain a character, but where were you on the whole exposition and the backstory element of this movie?
Yeah, kind of iffy, kind of I throw this as like a really enjoyed type of rating. But yeah, there's no character, that you feel that you really fall in love with. And, Cena's great for the moments, but I don't think there was too much of even Cena's character getting fleshed out. Like, you don't really know too much of his backstory from what I remember.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, it's like, it's all good. It's just wasn't, none of the backstories took the characters to the next level. And it was all kind of generic, just sad stuff that's happened.
Nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and nothing groundbreaking and nothing.
I did, out of all of them, though, I really enjoyed Ratcatcher's backstory, just because, I mean, it's interesting to see who plays her father in this for like 2 seconds. It's like, okay, like, I guess he was just like, hey, James, you want anything done here? And he's like, yeah, just play the father for like 2 scenes, like 30 seconds of screen time. So I would say Ratcatcher would probably be my favorite out of the new characters besides Peacemaker, because Peacemaker, I just feel like, and I'm not like a big The Boys fan on Amazon. Like I watched a few episodes, but it definitely reminded me of that one guy.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but it seemed like
the
they kind
guy,
of, it's kind of shared similar characteristics, like the rah USA kind of character who will do anything to protect the country. But Cena was fun, and I will say the action is great. Like I mentioned before, the problem that, it's I think it's just like a comic book movie problem at this point. You can't just have a heist or something like that. There has to be like a big CGI action set piece at the end of all these movies.
Yeah.
And although it was fun to watch, I just thought it was kind of unnecessary. Like I kind of wish that, it seemed like the movie was ending at one point and then just kept going with this big, boss battle at the end.
And it was kind of obvious, so I guess we'll talk more in the spoiler, but it was kind of obvious, and you guessed right away how they were going to defeat the thing. You knew like 20 minutes into the movie how they were going to do it. But, or maybe not even, as we'll explain in the spoiler, but like, I'm definitely more of the, let's have a heist and then have just a very good, well-executed action scene at the end rather than a big, CGI monster. But it was all right. Yeah.
It was
what
fine.
You expect from James Gunn.
Listen, it was much better than that first Suicide Squad thing, and what's her name, Cara Delevingne, like shaking her hips, and these. I don't even know what that was, but
I got a quick story on that. So
please,
that came out 2015 summer. We had just come off of or 2016. We come off of a bunch of the Marvel movies that were just solid. I think it was Civil War and one other one that came out that summer. And my friends and I were like, wouldn't it be a great idea if we watched the movie twice in a row? Because we're always like, oh, what's oh man, I just want to watch it again. So like, all right, the Suicide Squad movie, David Ayer, Joker, Harley Quinn, Will Smith, all this stuff. It's gonna be awesome. There's no way it's bad. So we bought tickets for like a 7 o'clock and a 10 o'clock showing.
Oh man.
So we watched. We did it we watched the 7 o'clock, and then we had like a half hour to kill. And there's a McDonald's right next to our movie theater, so you usually go to McDonald's after you see a movie. So we went for the in between time, and we're like, I mean, it was good. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, that was all right. And then by like 10 minutes in, we're all looking at each other for the second time, like, this was a big mistake.
But
watch it again.
I mean, you already spent the money. You might as well just like enjoy the music at least, because I kind of felt the same way though. The first time I watched it, I was like, and it wasn't getting good reviews at all when it
Right.
first came out. So, and typically I don't try to go into movies with certain expectations. It's hard for some, it's easier for most. But this one, like, the trailers were phenomenal for Suicide Squad, and it was like, I mean, Joker was the first Joker since Heath Ledger. So I had fun with it the first time, and then I rewatched it maybe once or twice more, and it was getting so much worse. I can't explain it. Like, it just, and I feel this way sometimes for some Marvel movies. Like, you go in and it's a great time in the theater, and you don't know what's going to happen, so you're just going on the ride. But then once you like watch it for a second, third, fourth time, it's like, okay, now you're seeing what the movie is for on face value. You don't have those surprises anymore because you know it's coming. So now you can properly judge the movie. I did not judge the first Suicide Squad properly on a first watch for sure. It was just like, oh my God, I'll never watch that thing again. This one I'll watch again though. I mean, it's a fun time. I don't think it drags. It's got that James Gunn comedy. It's got really graphic violence. There's a scene where they go through this camp, which was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is great. Bloody, and then it just ends with a joke, and it's like, that was tremendous stuff.
Great.
There's also a big Harley scene that she gets her own, kind of like in Birds of Prey. She gets her own breakout scene to Just a Gigolo by Louis Prima Jr. or Louis Prima, and I was like, oh my, I love that song. And it's just such a interesting choice for this. I mean, it makes sense, but it's such an interesting choice for the montage or the breakout of Harley. But yeah, I think it's a strong recommend for me. I don't love it as much as other people seem to be loving it. Like, honestly, I would probably put Birds of Prey over this one still. And Wonder Woman's still like probably my number one. And I'm a big Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut guy. I love the Ultimate Cut of Batman v Superman. So this is kind of like mid DCEU for me, but this might be one of those movies that gets better with rewatches instead of the opposite. Where are you on the rankings of the DCEU? Where does this land for you?
Just pulled up my list.
Which, by the way, I guess I gotta find you on Letterboxd because we're both Letterboxd guys. I didn't even know you were on there. So excuse me while I try to find you on there.
I don't have juice or anything in the actually I'll just copy and paste my on here anyway. My profile into I gotta update. I still haven't logged the new Suicide Squad or anything yet, but
I forgot to ask you, did you watch this on HBO Max or was this a theater?
I did for time, I just didn't feel like making the trip out and taking the time to do it. And my buddy was willing to just he had already seen it in theaters, but he really loved it and he wanted to see it again. So I just went over to his place and we watched it last night. But
it's a perfect like summer movie. Like, you go in, you eat a whole bucket of popcorn and just enjoy yourself.
Right. Yeah, I would have loved to see it in theaters. It's time.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so I love I'm a big fan of Shazam and Birds of Prey, and I do love Batman v Superman a lot. So Ultimate, or I take the other cut for what it is. Like, it's like I know like all this stuff gets fleshed out, but it's an extra 30 minutes, so I'm gonna just watch the regular cut, the original cut, and just know in my head, fill in the blanks in my head, but just for sake of time to just crank it out, because it's got most of the pretty much all the action scenes and everything. I think so. I enjoy that for what it is. So yeah, I'd not above Man of Steel, not above Wonder Woman. I'd probably put it above where I've got Wonder Woman 1984. So kind of like number 6.
So just about like mid DCU.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing people like this is their favorite DCU, which listen, I'm not gonna fault them. I can definitely
Yeah.
see why, because this movie is a ton of fun. Like if you're just going in and for a good time, like it's funny, it's got the action, it's got everything you want in like a summer blockbuster. So I totally get it. And like I said, this might be one of those movies that gets better with a rewatch. So I'll definitely be rewatching it in the next few months. But we'll jump into spoilers now. So this is going to be the spoiler section. As always, we have the time codes in the description. I probably should have said that before going into non-spoiler, but it is what it is. So Justin, I really loved that we finally saw like the exploding microchip, because it starts and it gets into it immediately.
Yeah.
Like you see Michael, what's his name? Michael Rooker, his character. Yeah. He's like bouncing this ball around and then he kills the rat in the corner. I was like, what is going on here? Like, what is the point of this? And I still don't really understand the point,
right?
Other than just to introduce you to this guy. But I loved like the first 20 opening minutes of this movie.
Yeah. No, I had seen the one of the trailers like months ago, but other than that, I haven't really been keeping up with like remembering, because I knew it was all like mostly new characters, so no one I was really familiar with, so I didn't really have anything. So I actually forgot that there was like a whole cast of like John Cena and Idris Elba and everything. So I thought that first Suicide, I thought that was it. I thought that was
I didn't know
Suicide Squad.
Pete Davidson in there, like just a hodgepodge of people.
Right.
What's his name? Flula Borg. Like, what is he doing in a Suicide Squad movie? Like, I was like you. I was like, what is going on here? Like, is this the Suicide Squad? But you kind of figure like the way that it goes, they're mostly like character, like really wacky characters, and you didn't get introduced to the main ones yet. Kind of like, oh, okay, how many of these people are gonna die? And it's like, oh, everybody dies, except Weasel.
Yeah,
he lives. Which
that was awesome.
I love that. I love the joke when they go off of the plane and they jump down and he's drowning and then they in the control room like, did nobody ask if Weasel could swim? Like that awesome. that kind of comedy worked in this movie.
Yep.
But I was kind of surprised that Boomerang bit the dust. Like What is
that's right. That's when I was like, okay, what's going on? This is not like, this is weird.
Like, and what is Jai Courtney doing these days that he has to be killed off in the first like 20 minutes?
Yeah, right. So that was interesting. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but it was good. It was good that little first, kind of a little storm in the beach and just getting lit up.
Like you hear Polka Dot Man. Right, David that's Malchin, or however you say his last name. I was like, all right, this guy, he's not lasting. He's there for the whole movie, but I loved what they did with the character. Like it's so bizarre. Like the dude is puking up polka dots. He's throwing the polka dots.
Yeah, picturing his mom.
Oh my god,
everyone.
I love that bit. That bit was so good throughout the movie, where everybody has the face of his mom. It's so good. Like that stuff works. There very few. I would say like very few jokes don't land in this movie. Like
right.
There's a couple things with Harley that are like okay, because people are also saying like this is the best Harley Quinn that they've ever seen on screen, which I love the Harley in Birds of Prey.
Right.
Because I mean. But I get it though, like especially I don't know if you've watched the Harley Quinn animated series, like that's basically you gotta watch it, dude. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's basically the Harley Quinn in that show is the one in Birds of Prey. So it's kind of like a live action adaptation of that spin of it. But she was great as usual. Like Margot Robbie knows what she's doing as Harley Quinn. But Ratcatcher was great. Danielle Melchior, which I think came out that she was actually like the Portuguese dub of Spider-Gwen and Into the Spider-Verse, which just a random piece of trivia there. But what were some of the stuff that didn't work for you? And you can go into full spoilers here. We're in the spoiler thing because I mentioned the whole kind of like starfish. I mean, it looked great at the end. Like it was very reminiscent of like the Marshmallow Man and Ghostbusters, just wrecking stuff. But it's just like another CGI monster that, I mean, it is what it is. I guess you have to put it in these movies, but it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, with the whole like the spear thing.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like obvious, like, okay,
it's gonna come around somehow.
Is gonna be what they use, what is used to essentially stab the starfish in the eye. You just see that coming. So it was like, I'm never a big fan of big monster fights. So I mean, monster on monster is different, but yeah, humans versus monsters, because it's like there's just no real real legitimate way you're actually winning that fight. So True. It's just kind of like, okay, what wacky thing can they think of to just all like to win?
Yeah,
versus like an actual human on human. There's much more.
Especially considering that most of the Suicide Squad left are people without superpowers.
Yeah,
like there's no super. Yeah. Harley Quinn doesn't have a superpower.
Right.
Bloodsport doesn't have a superpower. The only guy with the superpower or it's Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man. And then Polka Dot Man bites the dust. It's Harley and Bloodsport that are really just taking on this big starfish, and it's, I mean, that they're gonna win, but it's kind of ridiculous that the normal people, relatively normal people, are the ones that take down this huge monster instead of the people with actual powers. Yeah,
I didn't get why they broke. Was it Bloodshot, right? Or Bloodsport. Bloodsport. Yeah. They broke his mask, and then when the things come down, he has to just fight them off. I'm like, why didn't they just not break his mask? He could just put the mask back on.
The little other squids or whatever come out of the starfish and everything. And then their solution is just cover your face. I mean, nobody got that memo. Like, you see all these people getting the starfish on their faces, and then nobody's thinking about just cover your face.
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous, but that's kind of like, that's what has to happen in these big, like, third act boss battles or whatever.
Right.
But with Bloodsport, I mean, even with the stuff, his relationship with his daughter, like, it's Deadshot. It's the same kind of, relationship there. So that I was expecting more from that character, but like I said, I loved, Idris's and Cena's relationship and chemistry in this movie. The big camp scene, which was phenomenal, but also their banter too is great. It's going to be interesting. Can they bring, because I mean, Cena lives, I was kind of going into this, I was assuming that the Peacemaker show was going to be a prequel, but clearly it's not. It's gonna be a sequel. So you got to wonder, like, does Idris come back for the show? What happens there?
I'd definitely rather see this, take place in a show rather than another movie or a sequel to this. Because I mean, pretty much everyone died, so you'd have to just do another show with Idris, Harley, and Ratcatcher. Because they're the only ones. Does the shark?
The shark makes it.
Shark makes it, right?
The shark makes it, yeah. Which, I mean,
you think he's died because they just
they kind of overplayed that because they did it with Peacemaker, they did it with the shark. It's like, you can only trick us so many times. Like, they're dead, but they're not dead. Right. That kind of got repetitive. But King Shark, which he's not called that, he's called Nanu. I mean, he is King Shark, but it's just voiced by Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Like, it's, I'm not going to compare it, but the character has a much bigger part in the Harley Quinn show, and I like that interpretation better. But I mean, I like the shark. Like, it's saying, it was kind of like Groot. He said like a couple words, and then that was it. So like, James Gunn has his archetypes here. Like he needs
right.
the animal that kind of just is bizarre looking, and then you have the other one that has to like it's a tree person, it's a shark. They have to say one or two words.
Yeah.
Nobody
Cena
really
was
understands.
Cena was kind of Drax with the little like with kind of the dry one-liners and stuff and humor.
I
Yeah,
think, but I think it overall worked. You know, I don't know. The series lends itself to sequels because you can just
yeah,
keep
it's just
finding these
right.
characters. You know, like they threw out what like at least 20 characters in the Suicide
Right.
Squad in this movie, right? Like
Yeah,
most of them died, but I'm sure like you can find more out there
yeah,
to where you know you could make a third one, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to happen because of the box office. It just didn't.
right.
I mean, I think I was reading today it cost 180 million dollars budget, and then another
Yeah,
100 million for advertising, and the
right.
thing made like 28 million dollars opening
No, yeah,
weekend.
yeah, no one is just going to the movies right now. It's just, and I think everyone's just got so used to home and everyone's so busy. Like it's not. I genuinely want to go to the movie theater, but it's just time and and people I feel like don't want to spend, especially like take a family out or
Oh
take,
yeah,
they don't want to take their girlfriend out or whatever or and then spend much money on popcorn and it's like, oh, we can just watch it at home right now. We're already paying for HBO Max, like we may
yeah.
as well. So hopefully that is helping HBO Max subscriptions. But
I think I did see something like it was the second biggest opening weekend on HBO Max for a movie that they've had so far.
yeah,
The first one was actually Mortal Kombat, which
nice.
is and that one didn't do great in the theater either. So,
Right.
but then you have Space Jam, which surprisingly made a lot of, I mean, not a lot of money, but relative to expectations, it made a good amount of money. I think it might have made more than
Yeah,
Suicide Squad.
probably.
Um,
Yeah. A
and
lot of
then just kind of
families.
it kind of just tanked after that. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know. Like I do like the convenience. I watch Space Jam at home because again, it's a time thing, but also I don't think I needed to see it in the theater to get it. So it might just be like our viewing habits have changed over the
Right.
last year
I
and a
think
half.
so.
Which I mean, as long as the option is there to go to the theater, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people really do not like HBO Max putting out these movies on their service for free, relatively free. I mean, you're paying for the
Right.
service, but
Yeah.
for no extra charge.
Right. You're paying for it
Um,
anyway. So yeah.
because you know Disney Plus, some of their movies you got to pay $30, like Black Widow and
Right.
Jungle Cruise. I don't know. There might just be like a happy medium here that
Gosh, I
needs
still
to
haven't seen
happen.
Black Widow. I just realized
That's a good one, man. That really is.
I'm so, oh
You know
my
what?
gosh.
That would
Can't
be a
believe it.
really fun double feature in the theater. Black Widow and the
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Because I kind of enjoyed them both. Like I
Yeah.
like Black Widow a little bit better, but I would definitely double feature these in the theater.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I like the movie, man. Like you know, it's I didn't love it.
Mhm.
I'll rewatch it and see how I feel then. And I'm super pumped for the Peacemaker show, which I think is already wrapped. I want to say that they finished that already, so it's coming out next year. And but it's going to be interesting because they also, I think Warner Brothers kind of came out and said they're developing more stuff with James Gunn. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean another Suicide Squad movie? Does that mean more shows based on DC characters? Like what do you want to see next from James Gunn? Because he's also got Volume 3 of Guardians coming out too. So
Yeah.
is it a pick your poison here? Is it DC? Is it Marvel? Or do you kind of want to see him get away from this franchise stuff
Yeah.
and just make movies?
I think I'd like to see him get out of the franchise stuff because I feel I'm definitely feeling the superhero movie fatigue. I've definitely lost the excitement. Like I haven't seen, like if you would have told me 5 years ago that you would just not see or you would like forget to go see Black Widow, I'd be like, no way. I would never but like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I just feel like there's so many now that it's hard to get excited for one as much as I'm definitely excited for the Batman.
For
Extremely
sure.
excited for that.
Did you? Oh no, you watched it at home. But this was the first time I saw a trailer for the Batman in the theater, and
Okay.
people loved it, and it
Sweet.
looks great. Like I cannot wait for that movie.
Yeah. So you know what? I have tomorrow night off. I'm gonna go see Black Widow tomorrow night. Maybe even sneak something else in there too, like Old or something. No, but something I know might be good. But
Yeah. I mean, if you need an unintentional laugh, I think Old is the movie for you.
yeah, I'll definitely watch that streaming. But yeah, I love some of James. Like I love Super, and I forget, is it Slither? Is the other one? Is that the name of the kind of more horror movie?
Yeah, because he's got like trauma background too. So I mean, he makes some real. I mean, I haven't seen any of his kind of earlier stuff that's not in the franchise, but from what I hear, like he's a horror guy,
right?
So, and he also produced that one movie from a few years ago, the Belko Experiment.
Oh yeah, that, and he produce the Blackburn or whatever, the Superman.
Oh, Brightburn.
Brightburn. Yeah.
I hated that movie though. Please, no more Brightburns. Oh my god, I could not stand that movie.
Maybe he directed.
If he directed it, maybe it would be different. But it just, that movie kind of crashed and burned for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like what he's doing right now. I would definitely welcome some original stuff from him. Like I'm not opposed to that. But I would still, like, we've seen what he can do with the Guardians. That's wrapping up. I don't want to see him do anything else in Marvel besides Guardians. DC, I mean, it seemed like he was super interested in doing this. It's not like, Warner Brothers just begged him to do it. It seemed like he was actively interested in this, and then he was actively interested in making that Peacemaker show. So if he has another character or characters that he wants to tell stories about, I'm super for, because, I mean, man, if they keep James Gunn, you've got James Gunn, you have J.J. Abrams developing DC stuff. Like they're coming out with the heavy hitters. And then on the Marvel side, like they're just plucking these independent filmmakers and throwing them into these big blockbusters. But it's kind of like a dichotomy. Like I like, if you want this thing, you can go to Marvel. If you want that thing, you can go to DC. I think keeping them separate and kind of different, it benefits both in a certain way. So that was our thoughts on the Suicide Squad, guys. Please tell us what you thought about it. It's available on HBO Max. So if you don't have the time, if you didn't have the time like Justin, pop it on the old HBO Max, because it's not only that, it's a great service. You'll find plenty of stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
But before we go, guys, you know how it is. We always play a quick 60-second speed round game, the Pick Perfect Minute. Just a bunch of questions related to franchises and movies in general. Justin, there's no trivia here. I know. Bring all the Schmodown people on. They expect trivia. No trivia here. Just straight 60 seconds of questions. Okay. Are you ready, Juice?
Let me refuel.
With the Finstock Exchange mug. Love it.
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Favorite movie snack?
Popcorn.
Dolby or IMAX?
Dolby.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Physical media or digital movies?
Physical media.
Do you arrive early or late for previews?
Late.
Dine in theaters, yay or nay?
I've not been. No opinion. No comment.
Ever snuck into a movie?
Yes.
Lights on or off when watching movies at home?
Off. All off.
Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler?
Ooh, Jim Carrey.
Scarlett Johansson or Emma Stone?
Scarlett Johansson.
Seat in the front, middle, or back of the theater?
Middle.
Are you on the AMC Stubbs A-list?
I don't have an AMC next to me or near me.
Do you stay through the credits?
Usually.
It's time.
Okay.
Oh, come on, Justin. Everybody I've asked, they are on the A-list. They are part of the A-list entourage. You got to get on this, man. Even if you don't have any AMCs, you got to be a part of the entourage.
It's like 30. It's like 20 minutes. It's like a 30-minute drive to the closest AMC.
So what do you have around you? Is it just like a mom and pop theater, or what's going
No,
on?
it's Marcus, which is Midwest, kind of a Midwest movie theater chain. So
do they have their own kind of subscription thing where you can you do the certain price a month and see however many movies? Or
no, they do $5 Tuesdays.
Okay.
So everyone goes on Tuesday. So it actually works out that tomorrow night is a Tuesday, the day I have off and can see. And with the sneaking in, I've never not paid for a ticket, but I've definitely bought one ticket, especially in college
Yes.
I went to school in Chicago and they're $12 a ticket. And I just went to 2 or 3 more after.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Done. Yeah. So I technically haven't snuck into a movie, but I've snuck like McDonald's in my shirt.
Oh, that was man. Cool. You're one of those people, Justin. Come on.
No, not that often. I usually.
Okay. You don't do it on in a pack theater though, right? Like maybe a matinee.
No. Yeah, I always.
All right.
I was going at the days I didn't have class on like a Thursday at like 1 p.m.
Oh my god!
So it's like nobody is there.
I'll accept that, Justin. Juice, tell everybody where they can find you. What you got going on? I mean, you're a busy guy. You got a lot of I don't know what the phrase is. It's not pots boiling. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There's a phrase. Kitchen, I don't know. A lot of whatever.
Is it cooks in the kitchen? Is that what it is? Or is that no? That's more when you. I don't know, but whatever. So I got What the Show on Wednesday nights. Usually we kick off around 8 to 9 p.m. Central, so 9 or 10 Eastern. We do, so we've got Nerd Chronic of the Schmodown coming on this week.
Love it.
We'll talk to him. Yeah, just about random stuff. I don't think we have a specific topic for him, but
very rarely is there a specific topic on the show.
No.
A lot of chaos.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I love. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. And then I don't have anything immediate coming up on the Keytar. I'm just trying to get done with this summer. I'm ready for it to be the middle of September, and I can just actually start working on some personal music projects and stuff again. But hopefully I'll be able to do another live Keytar concert. My new Keytar makes it very easily for me to play a song. So maybe one night, if the things work out, I'll just start streaming a live concert just like that.
That'd be great.
That would, hoping some time opens up. But other than that, that's about all I got going on.
There's always a clamoring for the Keytar. No matter what, anytime, then and there, everybody needs to watch you play the Keytar, Justin. But thank you for coming on, brother. Yeah. Gotta follow him on Letterboxd. We are Letterboxd Bros. Jay Oliver on Letterboxd, please, and follow me at Bobby is Gross on Letterboxd too. We I don't know about you, Juice, but I'm addicted to that thing. I gotta log everything as soon as I see it. Unfortunately, I know that's kind of frowned upon in certain circles, but gotta log it. Gotta make the list, the tops of the year. Yeah. You know how it is, Justin.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
But you could find the podcast on all of the major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, whatever. All of them. We are there. YouTube, Picture Perfect. We have this in video form if you guys want to check it out on that. At Pick Perfect Cast on Twitter. You can find me at Bobby is Gross pretty much everywhere. I'm all around you. But next week, guys, I don't know who's going to be on the show, but we are going to be talking about Free Guy, the new Ryan Reynolds flick. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm hearing a lot of good things about it. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we will catch you guys next week.